A few days ago, I talked about a project on Solana called OR, and since then, the token price just has gone straight through the roof. It's kind of been insane to see this amounts of growth. And on top of that, while we did a deep dive into what is OR and the protocol and the details behind it, in today's video, I want to more focus on the strategy. How, when it comes to mining OR, how can you maximize your opportunities? How can you maximize the OR that you mine? And more specifically, look at some of the tools that are available where you can get an edge against everybody else who many are participating in this protocol blindly. So all those tools, all that data, all that information is also going to be in the description so you can use it and get ahead, essentially get an edge amongst everybody else. That said, if you're new here, my name is Alex. We talk about crypto news, crypto passive income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. So as we dive in this video about OR, I want to first talk about price and the value potential of OR token, and then talk about the 5 different strategies when it comes to mining OR, and which ones I think have the most potential, which ones are kind of stupid, because there are some pretty stupid strategies, and that is simply the name of the game. So let's first talk about price. Price, in my honest opinion, is completely undervalued based off of 2 things. It's not undervalued just because, you look at it and say, oh, it could be higher. Anything could be higher. It's undervalued because of revenue. And when you look at revenue across all the Solana projects, you look at Pump, Jupiter, Axiom, OR protocol is number 6. Out of all the Solana protocols, it is number 6 in the last 24 hours and is significantly starting to climb even on the larger long-term scale, 7 days, 30 days, etc. It is higher than Meteora, it's higher than the likes of Radium. It is higher than many, it's almost close to the likes of Drift in the last 24 hours from revenue generated. It's higher even the likes of Helium in multiple different applications out there. Now, what does this mean? Well, when you look at Meteora, it has a $450 million fully diluted valuation. Radium has a $900 million fully diluted valuation. Drift has a $400 million fully diluted valuation. OR is sitting at $54 million. It is at least 1/10 of the potential fully diluted valuation of the protocols that it generates more revenue than. That, to me, is reason enough to believe there is more upside. The question is, what is the ceiling? That is really the only question. Is it 300? Is it 3,000? That is something no one can really tell you. But what someone can tell you is when you're looking at the numbers, something that generates more revenue should, in theory, have a higher market cap, as that revenue is sustainable and is continued long term. Now, the second reason is a part of the tokenomics behind OR. OR has a max supply of 5 million tokens. It's really small, low cap supply, but it is maxed. 5 million tokens ever to be in existence. It's fair launched, no team allocations, no pre-mine, no KOLs. When you look at a lot of these other protocols, they simply cannot say that for themselves. So there's really 3 reasons why OR should be higher. It has great tokenomics. It has a lot of things that aren't in existence with other protocols, as far as no pre-mine, no token allocation, no airdrop. And then on top of that, it has more revenue compared to most other protocols out there. Now, let's talk about the details behind this. I already kind of briefly talked about this, but this plays a role into the different strategies when it comes to mining OR. And in all these strategies that we're going to talk about, not all of these strategies require you to mine OR. So I'm going to tell you from the easiest to the hardest when it comes to these strategies. So strategy number 1 is simply to stake OR. If you believe that OR price is undervalued and you think there's more potential, then just simply buy it, stake it, generate 21% APR, and go on with your life. It is that simple. And what's crazy about this is about $30 million worth of OR is staked out of a $54 million market cap. There's really no way to describe how valuable that is. You don't typically see that very often. So buy it, stake it, forget it, move on. So that is option number one. Option number two is running a Meteor liquidity pool. This is very simple. I'm not going to dive into how to run a pool. There's plenty of videos out there as far as running Meteor pools. But there's one recommendation that I would have is to diversify. Everything should be good in diversification. I have mine between bin step 80 and bin step 200. A little bit different returns, different yields, different risks. Do with that as you will. In my current, I started off with bin 80, great amount of TVL. I've generated over $7. This is in just 2 days. I'm continuing to generate more fees as that continues. On top of that, when I go back to my portfolio, you can see I had originally deposited about $299 in my deposits. That's grown to $314 because of the price appreciation of what we've seen with OR. And you can see my fees being generated significantly higher where fees are also higher and where I have more deposited. So take with that as well. Diversify is very important. Strategy number two, right? Use a Meteor pool, earn money on top of your money. Maybe you want to do this alongside of staking OR. Now, what I do like about this one is all your fees are in OR. So for me, I think there's more upside to OR than there's Solana. So I'm getting all of my fees in OR. Works out pretty perfectly. So that's option number two. Now let's talk about 3, 4, and 5, because as we look at 3 and 4 and 5, you have to understand you need to use tools to get an edge. If you're not using tools and you're not getting an edge, you're only setting yourself up for failure. And if you're using these 3 strategies, you also need to be long-term minded, depending on how much SOL you're participating with. Because there are people that participate with less than 1 SOL, and there's people who have spent almost 1,500 SOL on this protocol. So these are a few things to understand. One, I highly recommend that you use this positive EV extension that Scott Pilgrim put together. It works beautifully. That is what you're seeing on my screen. Why you're seeing this block show up green. Very simple to use. I'm going to show you how to use that very briefly. This is the GitHub page. You essentially copy this code. If you go over to the main mining website, you're going to click F12. You're going to go over to the console and you're going to paste that code. That code essentially is going to show you what block has a positive EV. What does that mean is the bigger question, and Scott explains it pretty perfectly in here, because when you look at this, every 60 seconds, miners deploy SOL, 1 block wins randomly, so there's a 4% chance. Winner split also from all 24 losing blocks, and then winner split 1 OR token reward. Now, in that block, one person may get that 1 or that 1 OR splits amongst everybody based off of the amount of SOL they contributed. On top of that, the protocol takes 11% in fees, 10% for refining, and then 1% for the platform. Most blocks are negative EV, and there's a way to find the ones that aren't. So how this works is smaller blocks equal bigger share equals a bigger EV. So if you're going to use and you're going to mine OR, at least do it from a perspective of using tools to your advantage. So that's number one tool, very simple to use. This is another tool, or mining tracker. And then you also have this tool called gmore.fun. Very, very useful. It gives you some really good quality details as well. I'll leave all these down in the description so you go and check them out. So what is strategy 3, you may ask? And that is simply from choosing 10 to 15 blocks. It's not selecting all the blocks. It is simply doing what's called auto mining. And you essentially allocate a percentage of SOL, and then the miner essentially randomly selects a portion of the blocks. If you want to do 10 blocks, 15 blocks, and every round, so if you set it for 10 rounds, you're going to do 0.001 SOL, and then you're going to select only 1 block, or you can maybe do significantly more blocks, right? So it depends on how much you're going to be deploying, and it depends on the amounts of SOL you're going to be deploying as well. So pretty important if you are going to be doing auto or manual. Now, some people want to do manual and they want to click 1 block and hope they put everything on red or on black. Essentially, that is just no strategy. You can do that, but it's not even a strategy worth mentioning. But if you're going to do auto and you're going to do 0.001, you're going to do it across 10 blocks, you're going to do 10 rounds, you're going to be deploying 0.1 SOL. Now, there's a fee that gets taken out of that. And essentially, you're giving yourself a better chance out of these 25 blocks. 10 blocks is very popular, and also 15 blocks. 15 blocks more popular because you give yourself a bit of an edge that there's a high likelihood 1 out of 15 gets chosen than 1 out of 10. So that is strategy number 1, or really strategy number 3 out of these that we're talking about when it comes to actually mining, or is selecting a higher likelihood of being selected in blocks. Now, the big thing that you have to understand is you should also be selecting blocks that have a positive EV. So if you're going to go and select randomly on your own, you would have to do that manually. If you're going to go in auto mode, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to choose because the ore miner does it randomly. So strategy number 3, selecting 10 to 15 blocks, give yourself a better chance of getting selected. Long term, you're going to lose SOL unless you're extremely lucky. But what you're going to gain is you're going to gain what's called unrefined ore. Now, this unrefined ore is something that you don't have to claim. You can go and claim your Solana once you've won Solana in that block, but you don't have to claim the ore. And the longer you don't claim your ore, those who do claim, you get a proportion of that ore amongst everybody else. So if someone goes and claims and they want to withdraw their 100 ore that they've won, when they do that, there is a 10% fee, and that fee gets distributed amongst those who have not withdrawn. So very, very interesting approach, as far as token model. So strategy number 3, 10 to 15 blocks, give yourself a better chance, better likelihood. Now, there is a strategy number 4, and that is selecting every single block. Now, this does work to a certain degree. And what I mean by that is when you look at, in fact, this data, so you can see this wallet, this miner, participated in every single block and won every single block. That means they're selecting 25 out of 25. Now, net SOL, they've lost 157 SOL, but they've earned 293 ore. So really all you have to understand is what is the difference between the ore that they've earned and the SOL that they've lost. So in this instance, 293 ore times $131, they've earned about $38,000. Now, in this instance, they've lost 157 SOL times 185, they've lost 29,000. In total, they've made $9,000 by selecting every single block. But be mindful, they also deployed 1.5 thousand SOL across all of these blocks. So there is a strategy, you can see many people doing this, where they're selecting every single block in order to have a higher opportunity, because when the Motherlode does come around and they have the more SOL deployed on that block that hits the Motherlode, they get a larger portion of that ore. And as long as the ore price remains at this level or higher, then what they lose in SOL is made up significantly in arbitrage by the ore price. Now, mind you, if the ore price was to go down and it was to be half of what it is, right? It's at $130. Let's just say it was at 75. Well, then at that point, they would have only made about, what, $19,000 to the $28,000 that they spent. Then they would lose money. So there is some strategy to all of this. So you can go and you can deploy across every single block that guarantees you to win, and that guarantees you when the Motherlode does hit to hit the Motherlode. So strategy number 5, and this is the one that is the craziest but the least losing, I would say. And what that strategy is a combination of really many of these strategies, but only for the Motherlode. The Motherlode, as you can see right now, is worth 14,700. Now, every time that or every cycle that is 1 minute, there's a 1 in 625 chance that the Motherlode is going to get hit in that cycle. Now, when the Motherlode doesn't get hit for multiple cycles, that number of 1 out of 625 still technically remains the same. But the appeal, as you're going to see, more and more SOL gets deployed because there's a higher payout if the Motherlode does get hit. So a lot of people wait and don't mine any ore until the Motherlode is above a certain threshold. So for example, maybe it's above 50, maybe it's 100, and then they start mining, because mining beforehand even though the chances are still technically the same, it's not as appealing from a value add. And so instead of losing on every trade, essentially, or on every block, then they wait until the Motherlode gets a certain number, and then they start mining because their focus is only on the Motherlode and the ore within it. That is the last, and honestly, a very popular strategy because a lot of people want to be able to participate in this. And if you wait, the problem with this, if you're only focused on this, is the Motherlode is very sporadic. I mean, there's times when the Motherlode is only 2, and then it's split between 139 people, right? And there's times when the Motherlode is at 198, and it's split between 171 people. So obviously, there's times when when the Motherlode is hit when the numbers are a lot less, and also when the numbers are a lot higher. So be mindful of that, but that is the last strategy. So those are your 5 strategies to mining ore: buying and staking it, letting it sit, let it accrue more ore. Using Meteora Pool is option number 2, very, very valuable. Option number 3 is utilizing 10 to 15 blocks, and more specifically, you can do it on auto, but if you want to get an edge, use manual and use that EV tracker that we showed in the console. Option number 4 is selecting every single block and essentially guaranteeing your win. And then option number 5 is waiting and really only trading or really only trying to mine the Motherlode in order to not mine until that Motherlode gets above a certain number and then start to participate. I'd love to hear what strategy you're taking when it comes to mining ore. Hopefully you found value in this video as far as mining ore, if you've heard about it before or if you're hearing about it for the very first time. If you enjoyed this video, smash up a like. Enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. And until next time, guys, stay invested.